Something that's so important when it comes to studying the past is really understanding that these were people, and especially when it comes to studying ancient Greek warfare, we sometimes forget that these hoplites were indeed citizen soldiers, and of course, just like us, had things to do to pass their time and have fun, one of which being games. We often get caught up in the massive achievements and the military aspect of these cultures instead of sort of getting down in personal with the individuals that lived in it. And this is the type of thing that could very much have been brought along to a campaign so that soldiers could play whilst not fighting, which was obviously most of the time. What we are going to be looking at today, and I'll bring you up close in just a minute, is called the Game of Five Lines, which was an ancient Greek board game. We don't know all of the rules, however we know most of them, and though this rule set is slightly speculative, it's very much similar to the rules that we have surviving from the game itself. The board and the pieces themselves are speculative, however the dice, I have two forms of dice here. I have a wooden dice, and in my case the clay dice would have been likely terracotta. We see many types of dice historically, from wooden ones to bone ones to ones made of pottery, and the pieces I have wooden ones and also some clay ones, which also again would likely have been terracotta, although of course this game could have been played with just stones on the ground with carving the game board as well. For the sake of our demonstration, I'm going to be using the clay pieces so it's easier to tell which team is which, as I haven't yet got around to painting my wooden ones. So the game is called the Game of Five Lines because there are 5 lines. The centre line here is called the Holy Line, and as you can see, each team starts on either side of the Holy Line. The objective of the game is to get all of your pieces back to the Holy Line, though it's not entirely clear whether it means back to your side, or how I like to play the game is you're basically trying to switch where you are going. So white is trying to get where brown is, and brown is trying to get where white is. Both teams move counterclockwise around the board by rolling a dice. This here is a simple wooden dice, and I think something that's neat to note is that the dice actually is exactly the same as modern day dice. And again, we have surviving examples of this. To see who would have gone first, you likely would have just rolled the dice. I got a 3 and the opposing player got a 6, so they would go first. Then, to move your pieces, you would roll the dice. I got a 3. I have to move one of these pieces 3. I can't split the movement to 2 and 1. So you have to move if you can move. So I'm going to move this guy here, 1, 2 and 3. Now the game may seem very simple, but you can't land on the same space as another piece unless it's on the Holy Line. That means that if I rolled a 3, I would have to move this piece as these would land on the same square as that. You also have to move if you can, so even if I get a piece on the Holy Line here and none of my other pieces can move, I will then have to forfeit this piece and move him around the board. My go is done, so brown would go and they would roll. He got a 2, 1, 2. And so on and so forth. You can see I got a 2, which means I can move these pieces, or I can move 1, 2, and he is now secured on the Holy Line where I want them to be. Because I just got a piece on the Holy Line, I get to roll again. I got a 3, 1, 2, and 3. My turn is now over. It would go to brown, who then just got a 3 as well. 1, 2, 3. He is now on the opposing Holy Line and also gets to go again, gets a 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Then it's back to white's turn. So the game is played on a bit now. We can see that both sides have 3 pieces on the side that they're trying to get of the Holy Line, and it's now brown's turn. Brown has just rolled a 5, which may seem really good, but it's actually quite troublesome for black, as neither of these 2 pieces can move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cannot land there, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cannot land there. But black has to move, so therefore we then have to go to the Holy Line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That has now obviously, because you have to go, reduced black's points by 1. If that was a different number and even the pieces on the Holy Line were blocked by, say, this, then you would forfeit your turn and you just can't move. The game continues until one side has gotten all 5 of their pieces on the other side of the Holy Line, and that is a speculative but based in most of the rules that we know way to play the Game of Five Lines. This is again the type of thing that would have very easily been brought along to campaign in a camp, or even, again, played in spare time. This board here is probably quite fancy for most people. It's an engraved wooden board. However, again, you could play this with pebbles and carve it into the sand. You could play it with a clay tablet, or so on and so forth. Some of them would possibly even be made of marble. I just think it's really neat to see that, you know, just like us, these people wanted ways to be entertained, and while playing a board game was a way that they did that. And this is a board game that we can categorically say was used in the time of the ancient Greek hoplites. Though it is not 100%, we don't know all the rules, this is fundamentally likely how the game was played, or a very possible way that the game was played. Hope you enjoyed this little video looking at the life of the ancient Greeks, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks very much.